Welcome everyone. In this video, we will see about the source control or version control using the tool Git. Welcome everyone. I'm Kalaivani from Assistant Professor from Department of Artificial Intelligence. In this session, we will see about the topic source control using Git software. Here, before getting into the topic, let me tell what is Git. So Git is an open source software used to manage the source code. These are the topics what we are going to see in this session. They are what is source control or version control, types of version control systems, Git states, history of Git, and the basic commands in Gits. What are all the basic commands, important commands to be known in Gits while executing the Git software. And then finally, I'll conclude with summary, reference, and reference slides. So let me tell what is source control or version control. So it is a practice of tracking and managing changes to the code, which means we all know that while developing a software project, only one person will not be working in a project. It involves more than one persons like developers, testers, deployers. So many persons will be involving in a development of a source code. So many members will be involving in developing the software. It may be a smaller software or bigger software, complex software. Many people will be involving in developing a software. So if a change is being introduced by one developer, should be known or should be tracked by the another developer or another programmer, then we can go for this Git software, which is by the name itself you can see it is a source control, which means a source code of the project can be tracked, or any changes made by any person in that source code can be tracked easily with the help of this software. Because one person will tell that, for example, consider two developers, developer 1 and developer 2. So developer 1 will tell that will develop one software and it will be handed over to the developer 2. The developer 2 may introduce some changes into that developer 1, and he may tell that I did not introduce this changes. I didn't do this changes. In order to avoid this, we are going for this source control, which is an useful open source tool for tracking the source code. So this is the simple definition of this. What is version control or version control systems or source control. Next comes the types of version control system. There are two types of version control system. One's the initial one is which was developed as centralized version control system. Then comes the distributed version control system. Next comes the let us see what is centralized version control system. So here the definition given is centralized version control system offers software development teams a way to collaborate using a central server. Can you see the word central server over here? Because the word central server here represents the code will be residing in the central server, and developers will be taking the code from the central server when he wants to work, and he will do all the changes in that server. So only one person can work at a time when we are using centralized version control system. Whenever developer 2 wants to make any changes, he has to wait until the developer 1 completes his part of work in that central repository. You can see here in this repository the code will be available. From there only the developer has to take here, and he has to work whatever he wants. Either he wants to update or commit. What is those terms we will see in the upcoming slides. What is update, what is commit, we will see in the upcoming slides. Just you know what is the basic working of this centralized version control system. So the code will be available in the central repository, and a copy of code will be taken and it will be executed by this workstation or PC1. And after he completes its update and commit, it will be put back to the central server, and from there developer 2 will take and work as this flow will go on until the entire life cycle of the software. This is the this is the term centralized version control system. What is the drawback in this centralized version control system? Why we are moving to distributed? So the main drawback of centralized version control system is it highly relies on network connection. Okay, as I told, as we have seen in the previous slide, we can see if there is no active connection between the central server and the workstation, means then the commits or updates will not be reflected into that central server. So it mainly depends on this network connections only. So that is the reason why they have given the drawback as it relies heavily on network connection. And then second drawback is central repository it will be acting as a single point of failure, which means if suppose a code is if here in central repository only we have one copy of code, if that itself gets failure because of some unavoidable situations, then the data cannot be recovered. So this data or the project completely relies on this central repository. So that is the two main drawbacks of this centralized version control system. First thing is it completely depends on the network connection. If there is no active network connection, then we cannot update or change, the changes will not be reflected in that server. And second thing is central repository acts as a single point of failure. Okay, these are the true drawbacks of centralized version control system, and that is because of these, to overcome these drawbacks, we are going for this distributed version control system, which is distributed VCS. Here you can see the diagram, architecture diagram. Here you can see the definition. It brings a local copy of the complete repository to every team members. For example, here you can see three workstations, and everyone is maintaining their individual repository. Okay, repository here, the term used to store the data, place where the data will be stored. Here our data is our source code. Okay, so here the data will be stored in that repository. Here we have two repositories. This we call it as remote repository or global repository, and this one here we call as local repository. Okay, so this local repository will be maintained in the user's workstation in his local PC, whereas this repository will be located in somewhere wherever the server is available. There it will be located. So many open source servers or open source storage are available, like Git. For Git, it is officially GitHub. GitHub source is there. There only GitHub platform is there. There only we will be maintaining all the source code globally. Anyone, if you are making it as a public, and also options are available. You can make it as a public or private, whatever you want. You can make it your source code. If you are putting your source code public, then everyone can take a copy of your source code. If you are putting it in a private for your reference alone, means then you can make it as a private. Then it will be visible only to you, not for other users. This is the global repository or remote repository. Normally we use. Officially we will use it as normal repository. So sorry, remote repository. Then here it comes the local repository, which is available in the user's PC. Whatever the change we are doing here, that will be initially we will be taking a copy from the, as like centralized version, we will not do any updates in that central repository, which means remote repository. We will take a copy of this repository into our local machine, and whatever changes we want, we will be doing in our local repository. Once we are completed with our changes, then we will be pushing it to the remote repository. So here, as like centralized, we no need active network connections, or we are not completely relying on the central server. Okay, because if the central server, remote server gets fail also due to some reasons, a copy of that code will be existing in um, all the workstations, PCs, users machine, because they cloned a copy from that remote repository. So definitely here in local machine, definitely a single copy of this main code will be available. Whatever the changes we wish to do in that code, we can do, and it will be pushed back to the remote repository whenever we want. Once we are complete with our work, we can push it to the central repository. Okay, so this is the major difference between centralized version control system and distributed version control system. And here comes the advantages of a distributed version control system. As I told earlier, developers can work independently. Which means everyone can take a copy, their own copy, and they can work on that copy. Okay, developers can work independently. And then second thing, make changes locally without relying on network connections. So as I told in that while explaining distributed version control system itself, it is not completely relying on the network connection. Without network connection also, we can make a changes locally. Then once we are complete with our changes, we can push back to the remote repository. Then comes the allowing developers to work offline. This point indirectly specifies this point only. Okay, we can work offline in our own PC, and then reducing the risk associated with central server failure. Okay, so here why this point means it not completely relies on central server, which I told as remote repository, because we are taking a copy of that copy from the remote repository, and we are putting into our local PC, which is local repository, and then working on it. So here the last point is reducing the risk associated with the central server failure. Next comes the slide, Git states. So there are three major states to be known in Git. One is modified state, and next is staged state, and next one is committed state. So initially when we are working on a file and we are doing some modification, means then it will be moved to modified state. Okay, after modified state, when we want to fix those changes, whatever changes we made are correct up to our knowledge, we can fix that. Then we are going for staged state. Okay, that file will be added and it will be going to the staged state. Staged state is a state before committed state, because commit means here represents the term fix. Okay, once we are fixing the changes, it will be stored in our local repository. So that is the here we are using three major states. One is modified state, staged state. Modified state is initially when we are doing the modification to a file, we call it as modified state. And then when we are fixing, going to fix that changes, then it will be moved to staged state by using the command git add. What is git add, what is git commit and all, we will see in basic commands. Okay, then comes the commit state. When we are fixing those changes, then we will use the command git commit and it will be moved to committed states. So these are the three major states that we will be using in Git. So let me now install what is before going on to the explanation about the basic commands in Git. Let me install the Git into my PC, and how to install the Git we will see, and we will work on the basic commands of Git. So open any browser of your choice. I'm using Brave browser here. So go to Google and you can see here, you can type Git download for Windows. You can see in Google, you can type Git download for Windows. The first itself will be the official link. In that you can click, and here for all the PCs it will be available. Ours is mine is Windows, so I'll go with Windows. Here you can see portable installer or a standalone installer. I'll go with standalone installer, which is of 64-bit. So once the download is complete, you can see here, you just double click and proceed with the installation. Next you can give. The Git will be extracted. Before, when we are working on Git, we need a GitHub account also, which is where we need to take a copy that GitHub will be acting as a remote repository, and Git and our local machine will act as a local repository. So once you can, after completes installation, you can click here, launch Git bash, and click finish. So you can see the Git bash visible here. Okay, in order to check whether the Git is installed properly, you can use the command git space ---- version. You can see here the version 2 and major minor versions of the Git install that is being displayed here. So git space ---- version. Okay. So before going into the execution of basic commands, you have to open your GitHub account. So GitHub login, just give GitHub login, sign into GitHub. And then already I signed in. So I saved my password. So it directly went into it. If you don't have account also, you can just create. Where I will sign out and I will show it again. So if you don't have, sign out from all accounts. So if you don't have GitHub account, means this will be your first page. And you can, if you are a new user, you can go with sign up option. If you are existing user, you can click directly, you can click sign in. So I'll just click sign in. Since I have the account already, you can directly sign in, and this will be your home page. So here you can see one new option, which is called new, which is used to create a new repository. Once you click this, it will ask for create a new repository. Here we are creating a repository in a remote machine. Okay, this is remote. So somewhere it will reside. Okay, so it is asking for a repository name. Okay, so I'll give it as MITS. Then I will make it as a public. By default, it is that only. I'm adding only, for my reference, I'm adding one add a readme file. Okay. Then after that, you can click create repository. You can see the repository. You can, in my account, this MITS repository has been created successfully. Okay. So here, no file is being, you can see here, no file is initially available. Okay. So here you can see only the read file which I created is available. When I was creating that repository, that readme file I enabled, that only is available here. Now I'll create one new file. Create new file. I'll just type it as welcome. So I'm just giving the file name as sample.txt. Commit changes. It is asking for commit changes because I created one file and I added some text into that file like welcome. Okay, it is asking whether you want to make any message to be included for that file. So by default, I will take it, give it as commit. Okay, commit. Okay, can you see here that already it was only readme.md file. Now I got sample.txt. If I click that one, you can see it contains welcome. It contains welcome message. So this is the one basic file I created for this demonstration purpose. I just created. Here I used sample.txt, but when you are a developer, you will be going with any C file or Java file, whatever whatever you are doing the code, that will be put here. Okay, so here it contains this repository. MITS contains two files. One is readme.md file and another one is sample.txt. So here you can see one option which is green in color is called code. Okay, once you click this, you can see HTTPS, clone, HTTPS, SSH, and git CLI. Okay. Three types of cloning can be done, either using HTTPS link or SSH link or Git CLI, command line interface. That three ways we can copy this project. Okay, so I'll go with HTTPS. Can you see one link? This is your this project's, this repository's URL. You can see HTTPS github.com, my username Kalaivani89 and mits.git, repository name.git. Copy this URL and come back to your git bash. So now I'm going to copy that file into my local machine. Okay, for the command for copying that file which is residing in our repository, remote repository, to our local machine is git space clone space, and you paste that URL what I copied from there. Okay, then you click enter. So it is showing already exist. Okay, I will just delete that one, or else I will change the path. Okay, so the command to change the path is cd space c colon. Okay, inside that I'll just give git space clone space and then paste it. So inside that C it is available, so I'll just delete it. I'm executing that. So you can see here cloning into MITS. Okay, I am now in the drive C colon, and now the project is being copied. The project that is being copied from here, it will be displayed here. Okay, so can you see all the documents are being copied, and you can see here 100% done. Okay, I'll just clear the screen. So now I am in C colon. Here I have just copied that command, copied that project using this command git space clone space, and then what I copied from here, this HTTPS link of this particular repository MITS. Okay, then if I click again, you can see already exists because just now I cloned, it is existing. Inside where I cloned this project, inside C colon. So if you go into C colon, this C colon, you can see this folder MITS, and you can see the file readme.md file existing inside this one, and sample.txt is existing here. Okay. Now I want to get into that particular folder. What I created, where I created my local repository inside C colon, inside MITS. Now I am in C colon. I want to get into that MITS folder. So cd space MITS. Now can you see I am inside C colon, inside that MITS folder. Now earlier it didn't show anything, but now can you see the word main displaying here? The reason is earlier the C colon was simply a drive or simply a folder, we can say. But now what I created MITS is a Git folder. That's why it is showing the word main. Okay, so this indicates that that particular folder MITS is a local repository, local Git repository. Okay, now the command to see all the files inside our system is ls command, which will list, or ls stands for list. It will list all the files inside that particular directory where we are. We are inside this which directory? MITS directory. Okay, inside that we have two files. One is readme file and another one is that sample.txt what I created. Let me check it is displaying that one. Yes. When we click ls command, which means list the files, it is listing two files. It contains readme.md file and sample.txt. Okay, these are the two files that is being displayed here. So that is being displayed, that is available. So that is being displayed here. Next comes, if you give this command ls space -la, which means long list. When some file, when the hidden file is also there, it will list with the help of this command. Let me see here. When I give simply ls, it is showing only the file which are all visible. When I give ls space -la, Can you see it is displaying additionally 3 folders, which is 3 files, which is .git and .dot. Okay, so this represents that some Git files also residing into that main folder. So I mean that local repository. So this is for your just for your additional information. So the command to list the file is simply ls. Okay, it will list all the files in that particular directory. Now I will do some coming back to our topic. I will do some changes into the file which is residing there, which I created is sample.txt. Okay, so now I cloned the project from the remote repository to my local machine, and I'm going to introduce my changes. Whatever changes I want to do, I'll introduce into this file, and that will not be reflected in the remote repository, which is GitHub. That we will do later. Okay, so first I will introduce some changes into that sample.txt. For this, we have to use the command. Let me clear the screen and I'll be at the top. So vim space sample.txt, which means vim is an editor. With that editor, I'm going to open that file. Okay, so I opened this file and it is containing only the word welcome. So in order to insert a text, we have to press initially I, and I'm changing the code to welcome to MITS. Already it was just welcome. Now I'm changing the code to welcome to MITS. Okay, in order to save the code, we have to give escape shift:\wq. I'll repeat, in order to save the file in your VI editor, we have to give escape shift:\wq. Okay, so now I will see, in order to see the changes into the file, how can we view the command, view the content in that file using the command cat space sample.txt. If you give this, it will display the content of that particular file. This is the command cat, and this is your file name. Sample.txt is your file name. So it is showing the content as earlier it was welcome only. Now I changed it, I edited it to welcome to MITS. Okay. Now, and next git command is git space status. It will display the status of the file residing into our local repository. We can check the status of the file using the command git space status. Okay. So I'm giving here. Can you see now it is in modified state because I modified the code, which was already it was welcome, and I changed it to welcome to MITS. That's why it is showing it as modified. This only I have told in git states. We have seen 3 states, right? One is modified state, staged state, and committed state. So now initially when I did some modification into my file, it is showing only it is showing now modified sample.txt. Which file I modified, that it is showing here. Modified sample.txt. Next, here also you can say, if you want to commit, use git space add command. Okay, so when the changes is okay, when the changes what we made is okay, when I want to proceed with that changes, then I can give git space add space, which file I want to commit, sample.txt. So now the changes is being added into the from changes being moved from modified stage to staged state. How can we know that? Again, we have to give git status. Now, can you see earlier this modified was in red in color. Now you can see it is modified, it is green in color. This is to indicate that the file is being moved from modified state to staged state. Okay, now we are ready to commit this file. For committing this file, we have to use git space commit space -m, and in double quotes you have to give I'll give any message. You can give my first commit. Okay, I'm giving the messages. This is a keyword for git, and commit is also a keyword to commit the changes, and -m stands for message because one developer will do so many commits, so many changes. So he need to know what is the change I made in this commit. So for that, he can use this message. Suppose if you are introducing one new function, you can include that function name. If you are including the command lines, you can give whatever. This is for your reference only. Being a developer, we need to know because we will do so many commits. So if we see that name, we come to know what is the commit or what is the changes we made. That's the reason why we are giving this. This one -m stands for message, and the explanation of that message is being given here. In double quotes we can give. And then click enter. You can see one file changed, and some details about that files also it has been displayed. One insertion and one deletion we have performed. Okay, because I deleted one empty space, no, that's why it is showing one insertion. I included from welcome to MITS. Welcome to MITS I included. So it is showing one insertion and one deletion. Okay. Then now you can give, again, to check the status of the file, we can give git space status, and you can see on branch main, nothing to commit because already we committed. Recently only we performed that commit, and everything is in your working directory is clean and it is committed, nothing to commit. But you can see here your branch is ahead of origin main, which means here the commit is performed in local repository, but this is not being performed in that remote repository. Here if you see the file cat space sample.txt, here you can see welcome to MITS, but in my remote repository, if I click this sample.txt, it is showing only welcome. That is what it is telling here. Your branch is ahead of origin main. Origin main means this one is your main branch. Inside your MITS repository, remote repository, all these files are residing under main branch. So it is showing that your branch is ahead of origin main by one commit, because I performed one commit here that is not reflected here. That's why it is showing your branch is ahead of origin. So what can I do to make these changes to be reflected? Once you think that all my changes I have been done in my local machine completed, but this has to be reflected in I'm done with my work, so I'm going to move this copy of data into the repository. Or how can I do that? Means with the help of the command git space push space origin space main. So this is the command to push the worked completed file into the remote repository. Whatever changes we have done, it is now available in our local machine only, not into that remote repository. Now I'm going to push the changes to that changed file to that remote repository. How it can be done? Using this command git space push space origin space main. So once you can see here, it is pushing all the data to that remote repository. Then you can come to your remote repository and perform refresh. Can you see here? Earlier it was welcome only. Now it has become welcome to MITS. Okay, when you go here, you can see here earlier it was my initial commit, but now can you see what message I have given here? What message I have given here is my first commit. That message that is being reflected here, you see. So if you want to change, if you want to see what is the change actually made by the developer, means you can click this commit and you can see here. Earlier it was welcome and now it is changed to welcome to MITS. So like this, if a source code contains 100 lines of code, then you don't know where the developer has made the changes. Once you click this commit, once you click this message, you can see where in which line it will be. Earlier how the file was, and now what is the changes being made by the developer. Everything you can see cleanly, which is added, which is deleted, where the code has been changed. Everything you can see here clearly. Okay, this is one line for demonstration purpose I have given. If a source code, normally we people know a source code will contain 100, 200, 1000, 5000 lines. So in those cases, we don't know where the changes has been made. So when we are using this Git tool, it is easy to manage the source code and also to track the changes where the changes has been made. That is the reason for going for that is the reason why most of the organization opted this open source Git software to keep a track of their changes in their source code. This is how this become popular. And Git is not only the software to track the changes, so many open source also available like Bitbucket, And so many open sources also is there. Different organization opt different source version control tools for their softwares. So coming back to our PPTs, this is all about the basic Git commands. Coming back to the PPTs, here I have given all the basic commands what I executed. So here the first command which I executed was git version and git cloning for the command for copying the data from remote repository to local repository. I used a git clone space that repository URL and I changed into that directory using the command cd to that particular git command. And to list the files I used ls, and it is showing all the it is showing all the hidden files over here. And here to check the status of the file we are using the command git status. And this I didn't tell, this is git log, another command. When you want to check who are all committed that file, then you can use the command git log. Then to edit that file, I told you in order to open that file, we use vim, which is the editor, vim space that file name, and you can check the status using git status. And it is now the file is in modified state. Once we add that file into that for committing, then it will be moved to modified state. And from there, it is moved to committed state. So from that, we can directly commit the code. Git commit -m stands for message, and any message you can give here. And one more important thing I was supposed to say is, since I have already logged in my PC with the help of my username and password, it didn't ask for any user authentication, because when you are giving this, when you are executing this command, which is this command, git space push space origin space main, whenever you are doing it for first time, it will ask for these details. Please tell me who you are. Okay, since I executed so many times, so many commands in my PC, it by default, my configuration details are already available in this PC. It didn't ask for this configuration file. When you are newly installing the Git software, it will ask for this file. When you are trying to perform your first commit, it will ask for, please tell me who you are. At the time, you have to give, before continuing with the commits command, you have to execute these commands like git space config space -- global space user.email, which is your GitHub linked email. Okay, for in mine it is this one. I know what is the mail ID I have given. Okay, so that one you have to give here. That name I have given here. In my case, it is kwani89.mec at gmail.com that I have given, which is authorized with the GitHub account that you have to give. And then next, after executing this command, you have to execute this command, git space config space -- global space user.name space your name, which means your name in GitHub account. In this case, my name is KVANI89. This is my username that I have to give here, KVANI89. So as like this one. Can you see here in this slide? Here you can see git space config space -- global space user.email space. In double quotes, you have to give your GitHub authenticated mail ID. When you are opening the GitHub account, at the time you might have given one ID mail ID that you have to give here. And then next command, git space config space -- global space username, which is your GitHub name, GitHub account name. Here it is KVANI89 that I have given here. So here can you see KVANI89? Then only you can perform commit. Okay, so now at this time, whenever you are getting, definitely you will get, when you are installing it for first time, it will ask for, please tell me who you are. At the time, you have to give your, these two commands has to be executed, then only you can proceed with the commit. Otherwise, you cannot perform any commit. Then comes push command, which is git space push space origin space main. Your all the changes will be pushed into the remote repository. Then you can see here 100% completed everything, all the changes that will be reflected. And here comes this is all about the basic commands in git. And then here comes the summary slide. Git is a popular DevOps tool used for source code management or version control management. Git is one of the most popularly used source code management tool, and it is free, open source, and used to handle either it may be a smaller projects or larger projects. Source code can be maintained efficiently. Okay, then Git is used to track changes in source code and enables multiple developers to work together on a non-linear development, because we are taking a copy from that remote repository and we are working locally. So it allows multiple developers to put their own ideas into with the help of this Git software. And these are the references I referred for this PPT. You can put your feedbacks in this link. Thank you.